If you're 35 in 2026, you may feel like you're already behind. Maybe you still rent. Maybe your savings aren't where you expected them to be. And every time you seem to get ahead, inflation or another unexpected expense pulls you right back. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. You didn't fail. The financial rules changed. For years, we were told that working hard, saving money, and staying loyal would eventually lead to financial security. But this isn't the same economy anymore. Housing is less affordable, everyday expenses keep rising, and AI is changing the job market faster than most people expected. If you're starting over at 35, you're not too late. You're simply playing a very different game. Welcome back to Modest Funds. Today, I'm sharing the 3 financial truths I had to accept after restarting my life at 35. The third one completely changed how I think about money, and it's the reason I'm finally moving forward instead of falling behind. Stay with me until the end because it might change the way you see your future too. For most of us, the American dream came with a timeline. Graduate school, get a stable job, buy your first home before 30, build a family, max out your retirement accounts. By the time you reached your mid-30s, you were supposed to feel financially secure. That was the plan we all grew up believing. The problem is, the economy stopped following that script years ago, but many of us kept blaming ourselves anyway. If you're still renting at 35, you might feel like you're falling behind. Social media certainly makes it seem that way. You see friends posting pictures of new homes, backyard barbecues, and dream kitchens, and it's easy to think you're the only one who missed the train. But here's something we rarely talk about. Owning a home today isn't just harder than it was 10 years ago. For millions of Americans, it's become a mathematical challenge. Home prices have climbed much faster than wages, while higher mortgage rates have pushed monthly payments even further out of reach. Think about it this way. Imagine playing a game where the finish line keeps moving farther away every year, but you're still running at the same speed. Eventually, you'll convince yourself you're not trying hard enough. In reality, the race itself has changed. That's exactly what's happened with the middle-class timeline. The rules that worked in 2016 simply don't work the same way in 2026. So if you're 35 and you haven't bought a house yet, stop treating it like a personal failure. Renting doesn't mean you're irresponsible. It doesn't mean you're bad with money. It certainly doesn't mean you've missed your opportunity to build wealth. Sometimes renting is actually the smarter financial decision when buying would stretch your budget beyond its limits. Financial success isn't measured by whether you own a house, it's measured by whether you're building a stable future. The hardest part about letting go of the old timeline is admitting that the world has changed. Once you accept that, something powerful happens. You stop comparing your life to a version of success that no longer exists, and you start making decisions based on today's reality instead of yesterday's expectations. And that shift in mindset leads directly to the second financial truth I had to accept, one that completely changed the way I think about saving money. For years, personal finance experts repeated the same advice: save 3 to 6 months of expenses, or at the very least, keep a small emergency fund of a few $1,000s. It sounded like solid advice, and for a while, it was. But the reality of 2026 looks very different. The cost of almost everything has gone up. Housing, groceries, insurance, healthcare, utilities, and even basic car maintenance. The number in your savings account may look the same, but what that money can actually buy has quietly shrunk. Imagine waking up tomorrow to find your car won't start. The repair bill is $3,000. A week later, your insurance premium increases. Then, someone in your family needs unexpected medical care. Suddenly, a $5,000 emergency fund that once felt reassuring disappears almost overnight. The emergency fund didn't fail you. The world simply became much more expensive than the financial advice most of us were given. This is why I stopped thinking about emergency savings as a fixed number. Instead, I started thinking in terms of survival time. If your income stopped today, how many months could you realistically pay your bills without going into debt? That's the number that actually matters. Your emergency fund should reflect your current lifestyle and today's prices, not a financial rule you heard on YouTube 5 or 10 years ago. Now, that doesn't mean you should panic or feel like you'll never save enough. Fear is a terrible financial strategy. At Modest Funds, we believe the goal isn't chasing a magic number. The goal is regularly updating your financial plan as life changes. Inflation changes, your expenses change, your family changes. Your emergency fund should evolve with them. A financial plan that never gets updated eventually becomes outdated. The biggest lesson I learned wasn't that I needed more cash, it was that I needed a stronger financial system. A growing emergency fund, lower unnecessary expenses, and better financial habits create resilience that no single dollar amount ever could. Because in today's economy, surviving isn't about having one perfect savings target. It's about building a financial foundation that can adapt when life inevitably throws something unexpected your way. And that realization prepared me for the most difficult truth of all, one that completely changed how I think about earning money in 2026. This was the hardest truth for me to accept, because it forced me to let go of something I'd believed my entire adult life. I thought that if I worked hard, stayed loyal, and consistently did a good job, my career would naturally become more secure over time. But somewhere along the way, that promise quietly disappeared. Companies restructure, entire departments get eliminated, industries change overnight. And now with AI accelerating faster than ever, many jobs that once felt untouchable are being redefined. The uncomfortable reality is this: job security is no longer something a company gives you. For a long time, I treated my paycheck as if it were guaranteed. Every financial decision I made depended on the assumption that next month's income would always arrive. Then I realized how fragile that mindset really was. Having only one source of income in 2026 isn't just a financial risk, it's a concentration risk. If that single paycheck disappears, everything else in your financial life is suddenly under pressure. It's like trying to support an entire house with just one pillar. That's when I stopped thinking of myself as an employee and started thinking of myself as my own business. My job became just one customer, not my entire identity. Instead of asking, "How can I earn a bigger raise?" I started asking, "How can I become more valuable?" Because the one asset inflation can't permanently erode, the market can't repossess, and AI can't instantly replace, is a person who keeps learning, adapting, and solving meaningful problems. Skills appreciate when they're continuously developed. This doesn't mean everyone needs to quit their job tomorrow or become a full-time entrepreneur. That's not the point. The point is ownership. Own your skills, own your learning, own your financial decisions. Build additional income streams when you can, even if they start small. A freelance project, a digital product, investing consistently, a side business. None of these need to replace your salary overnight. They simply reduce the risk of depending on a single source for your future. The moment I accepted that no one was coming to rescue my financial future, everything changed. Strangely, it wasn't discouraging, it was freeing. I stopped waiting for the perfect economy, the perfect employer, or the perfect opportunity. I focused on the only things I could actually control: my habits, my skills, my spending, and my ability to create value. Starting over at 35 no longer felt like the end of my story. It became the moment I finally took complete ownership of it. So, where do you go from here? First, forgive yourself. Seriously, stop replaying every financial mistake you've ever made. Maybe you invested too late. Maybe you carried credit card debt. Maybe you trusted the wrong advice or simply spent years trying to survive instead of getting ahead. You can't build a better future while constantly punishing yourself for the past. Starting over doesn't mean you failed. It means you've gained experience that most people only understand after life forces them to learn it the hard way. The second step is what I call the modest reset. Sit down with every bank account, every bill, every subscription, every debt, and every dollar you spend each month. Be brutally honest. Cut the expenses that don't improve your life. Increase the savings that protect your future. Don't chase flashy investments before you've built a solid foundation. Wealth isn't created by one lucky decision. It's built through hundreds of small, disciplined choices that most people never notice. Finally, invest in the one asset that can keep paying you for decades: your ability to create value. Learn a new skill. Improve the ones you already have. Find ways to earn beyond your primary paycheck, even if it's just a few $100s a month at first. Small wins become bigger opportunities over time. That's what modest funds is all about. Not getting rich overnight, but building financial freedom through simple, consistent habits that compound year after year. Because your comeback doesn't begin when the economy improves, it begins the moment you decide to improve yourself. If you're starting over in your 30s, I'd love to hear your story. Leave a comment below and tell me the biggest financial truth you've had to accept this year. Maybe it was realizing home ownership can wait. Maybe it was rebuilding after debt. Or maybe you're just beginning your financial reset today. Whatever your situation, you're not alone. One of the best things we can do is learn from people who are walking the same path instead of pretending everything is perfect. If this video gave you a new perspective, consider subscribing to Modest Funds. Every week, we break down personal finance without the hype, the false promises, or the get-rich-quick nonsense. Just practical strategies for building wealth one step at a time. Until next time, stay modest, stay focused, keep investing in yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.